What's going on, gamers? So I just got some information recently about the PS3 emulation coming to the PS5, supposedly in some recent thread that just launched literally earlier today or yesterday. Um, Now, what's interesting is that there was a video shown by the individual showing that it could be ran on a PlayStation 5, and he had a weaker, dumbed down dev kit that wasn't the official dev kit that we have now on the PS5. From AMD, kind of like cheap stuff you could buy. And he was running it even at an 1840 native 1440p. In some games, he was running at 4K. He did Gran Turismo 5, Little Big Planet 3, and something else. I have to remember, and those other games too. But now we have some news here, which is interesting. So first and foremost, we want to remember some of the things that we were told. AI overview says this, but things are worded differently. Playing PS3 games on the PS5 is very difficult because of the significant technological differences between the two consoles, primarily due to the PS3's unique cell processor architecture, which is vastly different from the standard x86 684 architecture used in the PS5. My thing with this is like, even if you look at the 360 and the Xbox, that architecture is different because they were actually involved in making those consoles. You know what I mean? That's where it used to be internal. Same thing with PlayStation. Sony used to be involved in their technology back then, making it. Now it's AMD. You know what I mean? So I'm not really trying to hear that. And if we go down and take a look at some of these other threads, this is the video I was talking about, by the way. I ran PS3 games on PS5 Silicon to prove Sony wrong. We see right here, following rumors that Sony's bringing select PS3 games natively to PS5, tech experts have said that the task remains difficult. And then right here, PS5, but it isn't worth the effort for Sony. Unfortunately, the PS3 architecture is too complex to be emulated in hardware like the PS4 or PS5. By default, it's impossible for it to run PS3 games natively, as we see right here. But here we are with this thread right here. So like, comment, subscribe, let me know what y'all think. Okay, implicit conversions, we're going to get to them in a second. The port developer for many PlayStation classics, they're the ones doing it, by the way, not Sony, is researching and prototyping a way to emulate PS3 games on the PlayStation 5. The PS3 cell processor is notoriously difficult for developers to work around, meaning that many of the system's games have been locked to the console. Despite the announcement, implementation may be years away. So for those of you that thought that it was coming soon, according to this, that's not happening, and it may be something during PS6, which I think is kind of weird, you know what I mean? Consider that Nintendo has like GameCube emulations running on the Switch. It's like, what? You know what I mean? And they said they're going to go up to the Wii, which was out during the PS3 aspects, but obviously they're going to need the Switch 2 to do that. And they're going to be going up to Dreamcast too. So it's just Sony being lazy and not caring. They're just giving up to somebody in the back and not making the effort to make it work faster for the community, which they should be doing. Implicit Conversions, the developer behind some of the PlayStation Plus classics PlayStation ports, is said to be looking into add-in PS3 emulation at long last. While the PlayStation 5 is only backwards compatible with its immediate predecessor, the PS4 Sony has been allowing gamers to play older titles from the PS1, PS2, and PSP eras through Classics catalog of emulated games. However, while some PlayStation 3 games like God of War 3 have been made available on the PS4 and beyond, a good many classic PlayStation titles from the seventh console generation remain locked to their native system to this day. And they're trying to blame it on the cell processor, but that's just them being lazy and not wanting to put in the effort because it's not making them profit. Trust me on that. So who are these guys? We're gonna finish this in a second. Here they go right here. Implicit Conversions, reviving retro games to modern consoles. Games using syrup. This is what they were saying they're going to be using. Do you remember these games? See, this is how you could tell with them. Fighting Force. Man, I'm telling you, I love this game back in the days. Fighting Force 2, PS1 days. Oh yeah, big time. Micro Mages, Fear Effect. This is just an example of what they're doing right here. And I know people that are watching this that have been gaming as long as I have for 31 years are like, oh my God, good times, right? And you got Echo with Cloud and all that type of stuff. But going down here, we get a look at them. Syrup Emulation Engine. And then we see all the consoles here, right? But we don't see the PS3. And then you see it going over here. No source code, no problem. Syrup is a future-rich cross-platform emulation engine for retro systems. It allows developers to interface with modern consoles like the PlayStation 5 or Nintendo Switch. SERP has a robust architecture which handles display, audio, control networks, and add-ons like trophies. It consists of multiple emulations or emulators, which are modified to be lightweight plugins. SERP boasts a wide array of features such as network multiplayer, trophy achievement support, up-rendering, post-processing, and a scripting API to add entirely new improvements to old games such as gamepad rumble, remastered artwork, and widescreen. We see how integrated it is Nintendo is with their backwards compatibility. Like I said, you could, if y'all didn't know, you could play all those old games, even on NES, SNES, up to 60 frames per second, which is pretty cool. And share your screen with people and play online, and take turns playing single player games. Or if they were local, you can play them online, on the go online. Doesn't matter. It's actually really cool to have an entire retro community where you could do that. And we see Sony trying to do that. We see Microsoft is not here because they fully got involved with theirs and worked on that to make that possible, which is a really good thing because there is an entire retro community in the video game industry that really likes retro games. Definitely with the way things have been going lately, some people were just running back to older games and they like them. So we see this here, right? Going down, widescreen support. See your games like never before with widescreen support for both 2D and 3D titles. SERP provides an assortment of options ranging from gameplay aware border illustrations to 3D frustum aspect ratio adjustments to cutting edge and never before seen screen whitening techniques. Because back then it was like that. The TV was very square. Those retro TVs, they didn't have widescreen support. You know what I mean? So for PlayStation 3, that's not going to be a problem. But you could just see it like if they were to get into like more PS1 or PS2 games. That type of stuff would be micromanaged. And then game manuals, which we know that was a thing back in the days. This is another cool thing, is the NetPlay. It's like I said, Nintendo has something like this. NetPlay provides games with the lowest imaginable latency and supports online matchmaking, mixed local and online play, as well as options for private and public games, for retro games. Add options to relive nostalgia of split screen or modernize the experience with single screen output for each player. You can even add helpful details like the local players, hit points, or ammunition. And they can even add achievements to old retro games. That's pretty cool. I think people are very big on that. If they can continue to do that for like their main profile that they're using, because there's some people that would be addicted to a profile over upgrading or getting to other systems, and they just don't want to let go of it. That's their choice. I'm not going to say that wrong for that. Hey, man, that's just how it is sometimes. So I think that that's cool. And a lot of people are wondering if the Switch 2 is going to get that. Yeah, we're going to see. It's going to be a lot of stuff. And then Rumble. SERP can provide Rumble to like the older games and more. So this is the people that we see right here, Implicit Conversions, that are supposed to be researching for the PS3. And that kind of makes sense looking at their website, seeing what's going to be going on here. You get what I mean? So right here, as we read down here on this last part right here, we were talking about the cell processors emulating the cell on PS5's 886 architecture. Some gamers have managed to get PS3 games running on the PlayStation 5 hardware. As a video I've shown y'all, if you haven't seen that, it's on my page. You can look into it, and I just gave it to you right there on Google. All you need to do is type that in, and it'll be right there. PC emulators have also managed to get most of the PS3 library playable, so I don't think it would take years. You know what I mean? It's just more like Sony not wanting to put that extra effort in and get it to you faster because they're more focused on other bullshit. However, Sony has yet to develop an official way to emulate PS3 games outside of cloud streaming. PlayStation Classic support developer Implicit Conversions recently released its SERP engine roadmap for 2025 and beyond, and noted by Reddit user Beeper5 on right here. Part of this includes researching and prototyping a possible PS3 emulator for the SERP engine, which if successful, would allow for PS3 titles to be emulated on PlayStation 5 after so many years. However, it should be noted that this particular bullet point is classified as something Implicit Conversion is dreaming about rather than actively developing, and it might take the studio years to implement if ever come to pass. Like, think about this. If you were Sony, wouldn't you contact them and say, let's make this happen? We're going to give you some staff to support that and get it up and going on our console if they weren't doing anything, right? I mean, that's what I would do. So, if you want to look at this Reddit post, let's see if this actually goes anywhere. So, Implicit Conversions, PlayStation Classic Portings Dev has desired to develop PS3 emulator on roadmap. Interesting tidbits found on Implicit Conversions roadmap to studio, which ports PS1, PS2, and PSP classics to newer consoles for PlayStation Plus. So they already work together. Maybe they may be doing that. You know what I mean? So we can click on this right here. Um, and we see it right here, PS3 emulation, dreaming about. Researching into prototyping the possibility of PS3 emulator package for syrup. And then this just tells you that they're going to be in progress. Pancake for Nintendo Switch. Release of PS1 emulator, Pancake on Nintendo Switch. Game launcher, Pancake on Steam. Pancake on Xbox Series X. Release of PlayStation 1 emulator for Series X. Syrup SDK. So we see Xbox maybe getting some stuff like that. This just gives people ideas of things. You get what I mean? And I don't think that they would put this here if there wasn't an interest to go farther past that and get this into progress and then get this over here and release. As we see, this is the stuff that they're releasing. So I kind of wanted to update some people on this. If y'all are wondering, will PS3 games be coming to PlayStation? Is it possible? Yes, because it's been done already. I've already stated that. If we go back to what I was saying here, PS3, right here. I ran PS3 games on PlayStation 5 Silicon to prove Sony wrong. It's a pretty big video. This is how many people care
This
about
right
this.
here is probably one of the strangest pieces of computer hardware that I own. It looks
532K views because it's a thing, right? But he shows you that he's running stuff on the emulation, right?
naturally, in order to live up to the title of this video, I needed to show something related to PS3, so I went ahead and grabbed a copy of RPCS3. The rationale here is that in the past, Sony, and therefore many self-proclaimed experts, have stated that PS3 emulation is simply not possible on the PS5, as it's just too computationally expensive. And obviously that's just corpo speak for we can't make money if you don't buy new games, but I need an excuse to show this off anyway. Gran Turismo 5 Prologue is hands down my favorite entry in the Gran Turismo series, and I've tested it quite a few times over the years on RPCS3, so I have to admit, watching it run this well is just a testament to the incredible amount of effort that has been put into improving this emulator. Everything ran fine at 60 frames a second, with only the occasional shader glitch here and there, but it was a lot better than I expected. And just for fun, I cranked up the resolution to 1440p, which still maintained somewhat playable frame rates. One thing I noticed at this point was that for whatever reason, the AMD GPU driver only sees a single memory clock state that can be applied to this GPU, which is a measly 400 megahertz.
So it's stuck at 450 megahertz. The CPU is downgraded. It can't even use the full integration like you could on a dev kit on a PS5, and he's still getting that to run 1440p. The PlayStation 5 technology is much higher than that. You know what I mean? Much higher. And he had it at 1440p. So you could do PS3 backwards compatibility emulation at 4K 60 frames. Easily. He proves that in this video if you guys want to take a look at it. So this is like what I wanted to highlight about this. Like, comment, subscribe. You know, hopefully Sony does this for the PlayStation fan base. As I said, I think we would all want that. PS3 was a cool system. I think that's where Sony, after that, started to lose their way a bit. And we would like to see them get back to being PlayStation and not California slop. But there we have it. Like, comment, subscribe. Once again, y'all have a great night, evening, morning, wherever you're at around the world. And this is possible. We know this. Peace out. Retro community, stay cool. Gamers, stay cool. Later.